So guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about my absolutely freaking stacked 2024 TBR. It's come to be towards the end of the year now. We only have a few more weeks left of the year, which is absolutely insane. So I figured I'd talk about what I plan to read next year, since I'm probably reading my final book of the year at the moment, or rather I'm about to start it, because I did not realize I would be able to fit this in, truth be told. So, because I am, I don't think I'm going to be able to fit anything else in after this. And then you guys will see exactly what that is in my yearly / monthly wrap up coming at the end of December. Or if you guys follow me on Goodreads, you'll see my updates and all that. But regardless, we do have some things to talk about for next year. Next year is going to be kind of weird for me personally because I'm going to be graduating high school. So there's a lot of uncertainty there, being, once summer starts, it's like, well, what do I do now? And I know I'm going to be moving again at some point, and I don't know exactly where I'm moving just yet. So that's going to take up a sizable amount of time. I've got work, so I'm going to be trying to make some money while I'm still here in my current spot with my current job. There's always there's going to be graduation stuff to look forward to, family, friends, just doing stuff while I still have the time before going out into the big world, so to speak. So I don't know how much reading time I'm going to have next year, and then once fall starts, trying to get into schooling for college type stuff. I just don't know how much time I'll have for reading, which is why I'm trying to crunch in as much reading as I can at the end of this year, and why I've taken reading a little bit more seriously towards the end of this year, in the second half of the year. And why I'm going to be trying to crunch out some books at the very beginning of next year. I'm going to be trying to read Stormlight. That's one of the big things. Getting through Red Rising, and also one of my most anticipated reads, something that's been blown up on BookTube here recently, Empire of Silence. Among some other things, of course, there is a specific series that I do need to return to that has just been haunting me for over a year. I just want to tie up some loose ends in my own reading and not start a lot of brand new things, just so I can get a little bit of closure with some stuff before beginning a new chapter. So let's talk about the beginning of next year first and foremost. I guess I'll just tell you guys what I was alluding to before, what I didn't realize I would be able to fit in at the end of the year, and a book that I literally just finished reading earlier today. So I finished reading the first book in the Red Rising series. I didn't realize I would be able to finish that within a timely manner, or even be able to start it. So tomorrow, I'm probably going to try and start Golden Sun, and hopefully finish this by the time I get out of school for winter break, because hopefully that last week of schooling will just be kind of shits and giggles, so to speak, and won't have really anything going on, and so I can just plug my AirPods in and just crank out some chapters every day that week. That's what I plan to do. Hopefully it ends up that way. I do know I have some final tests, some stuff, but yeah, I'm trying to make these next couple of weeks reading weeks. Want to get through this. Originally, I was going to be reading all 3 of these books in this first trilogy in January, but being able to knock these 2 down at least at the end of the month here is going to be crucial, because that means in January I only have to read Morningstar, the 3rd book right here, and then that leaves me open to read some other things. Now, originally, because I was not gonna be able to finish these, read these 3 novels until January. I was gonna read Words of Radiance, the second of the Stormlight series, starting in February. But now, if I finish Morningstar sometime mid-January, I might end up just picking up Words of Radiance right after and getting through that. My big goal, the big goal for me, is to finish Stormlight this year. I know Stormlight 5 comes out in the fall. I'm not putting Stormlight 5 on my TBR for this year. I would love to read it right when it comes out. I just don't know if that's like realistic. I might put it on my TBR for the very beginning of 2025. Just with, time constraints, I don't know. So that's why my TBR for 2024 is really small. I didn't really have a TBR for 2023 because I was just getting back into reading. It wasn't really a part of BookTube when I started getting back into it. And I was just kind of reading what I wanted to read. Definitely a bit of a mood read kind of thing. But I do like having this little bit of a structured, this is when I'm going to read it, this is what I'm reading kind of thing. That seems to be the norm on BookTube. I'm kind of a fan of that. So I did end up setting a goal of 15 books on Goodreads for 2023. I started reading again at the very end of March. So basically the very beginning of April. It was like the 29th of March, I think I started reading my first book of the year. So basically April. And so I had quite a late start getting into my reading, and I managed to absolutely crush that goal. If I'm able to finish Golden Sun here, that would have made 22 books, I think, which might seem like rookie numbers to a lot of people, but for me, that's absolutely insane. I've never read that many books in a single year ever before. I don't know what else to say. That's just crazy for me. I'm pretty proud of myself for being able to read that much. So who knows what next year will bring as far as how much I'm able to read. But for now, my TBR is just kind of small. So in a very roundabout way, getting back into what I was saying, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get Stormlight 5 in or not. But my goal is to at least read Words of Radiance, Oathbringer, and Rhythm of War throughout the entirety of 2024. I also, of course, I don't know if I want to continue with Red Rising or not. Well, I know that I want to continue, but between the first trilogy and the second part of the series, I don't know if I'm going to start Red Gold, or not Red Gold, what's it called, Iron Gold, next year, just because it seems like a good point where it's once you finish Morningstar, there's like a 10-year time gap, right? So it just seems like a good place to stop and get some other reading in before you continue. So maybe I'll end up reading the second part of Red Rising towards the end of next year. I don't know though. But one thing I do know for certain is that I need to conquer my fears, and I need to finish a series that has been eluding me forever. And if I can grab it out here without disrupting my whole setup here, it's going to be A Song of Ice and Fire. If you guys know, I used to do these kind of reviews. They were really long-winded reviews about, I don't know, whatever I wanted to talk about the book on my old channel. I reviewed the first 2 books in the series, and then I read the third book and never reviewed it. And then after I read the first 3 books, I kind of left the series for a while. Part of that was because I was in a really big move, and then didn't really go back to reading books all too much until the beginning of this year. But I never came back to A Song of Ice and Fire. Now, I know that there are a lot of mixed opinions when it comes to these next two books in the series, Feast for Crows and A Dance with Dragons. A lot of people think they're subpar. I understand there's this weird thing going on where they're actually supposed to be one book and they're split into two, and it causes this weird stuff. Just, they weren't handled the best. And regardless of whether or not we ever get Winds of Winter, this series for the longest time was absolutely my favorite series of all time. It just was. It changed the way that I viewed books in a lot of ways, and was a huge inspiration for me in my own writing and just my reading career, if that makes sense. So I feel like I owe it that I finished the series. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, just never got around to it, and so I think next year is about time that I read books 4 and 5, A Song of Ice and Fire. And the last series that I really wanted to talk about, that I know for sure that I really want to read next year, is Empire of Silence. I mentioned this before, or not, Suneater, the first book being Empire of Silence. I don't know when I'm going to get to this exactly next year, but I know that I really want to. This series, since I even heard about it from Matt's Fantasy Book Reviews, shout out to the homie. Speaking of him, I was just in one of his newest videos. I'll leave a link to it in the description down below if you want to go check out his channel and that video. Really dope. Awesome guy. Go check him out. Yeah, through him, when I first was getting into like BookTube and all that, he was one of the first people I subscribed to and watched. And one of my first videos I ever watched of him was his review of Empire of Silence. And his review just got me hooked on the idea of reading it. And I waited a while for these trade paperbacks to come out. And I got the first 3 books in trade paperback and books 4 and 5 in the hardcovers. I am confident that I'm going to enjoy the series. It's almost everything, just based on description, that I could think of that I would want in a series. It just sounds so awesome. So I'm hoping that I really do enjoy it and I'm not let down. But based on everything that I hear on BookTube, I don't think that'll be the case, honestly. So yeah, this just looks super dope. Here's book 2. This probably has my favorite cover in the entire series. So awesome. And yeah, that's one of the main things. I at least want to read books 1 and 2. I hear 3 is the best in the series, so I might even have to fit the first 3 in there. Book 6 is supposed to come out early next year too, I think in April. I don't know if I'm going to get to 4, 5, and 6 next year. I just don't know, of course. So yeah, hopefully I am. If I am, I mean, that would be dope. So all in all, even though my TBR doesn't have a lot of titles on the list, it definitely makes up for it in word count and page count for sure. I have some absolute bricks on my TBR for next year, so hopefully I am able to conquer those and deliver you guys with some awesome reviews, some hauls and content, just what a booktuber does. So yeah, I'm looking forward to my reading next year, but I just hope that I'm able to get in what I want out of it. Anyways guys, that is gonna about do it for today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy, and if you did, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, because I would greatly appreciate it. And if you haven't already, we do have an awesome Discord server up and running, so the links to that will be in the description as well. So be sure to join the fam and talk about some books, manga, video games. It does not matter. We would love to have you. And yeah guys, I'll catch you guys in the next one.